Oh.
What happened? It just cut off, didn't it?
It did. It wasn't even a second, I don't think. Oh, well.
Wow. Welcome, everyone. We just had a malfunction.
The lovely part of live, the lovely part of lives.
Yeah. Right? We were just talking about intros, were we not?
Yes.
Could it be a message? Well, welcome, everyone. We are so blessed and appreciative of everyone that is coming on and anyone that comes on after to view. My name is Michelle Rogers, and this is the lovely
Stephanie Getz. And we have a special guest tonight, the lovely
Kristen Numen. Thank you.
So just a little bit of a background. Chrissy has been friends of ours for, I don't know how many years now. She lives in Florida, not far from where Michelle is now. And she has some health things going on, and she almost left us a couple months ago, I guess now. And that's, I was watching her live a couple weeks ago tell her near-death experience. And within that, and the fact that I just had a past life regression session with April and was watching her with April, I knew that our viewers needed to hear her story because it is absolutely amazing and beautiful. And so we asked her right away if she would come on and tell you all what she experienced, that she's remembering a little bit more and more. So, Chrissy, I'm going to turn it over to you, girl. You can talk about who you are, what you do, all that. Introduce yourself and like what you do, and then tell us your story.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I love being here. Stephanie, Michelle, amazing, beautiful souls. Thank you. Thank you so much. So my name is Kristen Numen. I have been spiritually awakened since 2016. So psychic, medium. I do Kundalini Reiki, master teacher healer, Rahani, celestial healing. You name the rabbit hole and I love to jump down it, basically, which is why I love these ladies so much because they're so beautiful and amazing and magical. And I love all the above. So I think the most amazing thing that happens on this journey is when you're a medium and you're speaking to those that have crossed over, animals and everything, they would always give me stories. They would always, okay, please let my loved ones know what's going on. And then they'd always turn around and speak to me specifically and say different things. And I didn't understand it until a couple of years later because they knew that I was going to depart. So they were coaching me, basically. So I have electrical issues with my heart. It's like a whole drum solo in there is how I describe it. So plumbing is great, but the electricity, not so much. So it's all over the place, very fast heart rates and everything. I've had many surgeries and all of that. So this just happened on November 3rd. 2023. So February 3rd was my 3-month heart anniversary, I call it. And November 3rd is my husband's birthday. And the reason why I always like to say that is because my husband and our 21-year-old daughter are always out in the morning. I was running a class that morning. It was going to start at 10 a.m. And they're normally gone by then. So he said, I'm going to take off on my birthday. We'll have like a whole weekend. And we were all excited. And Emily happened to be home, our daughter. She was supposed to go somewhere and decided to stay. So when we talk about divine timing and everything, please understand how divinely orchestrated our lives are. And there's this divine orchestration, and then we have free will that's interwoven into all of that. So not only I said, okay, I'm going to go take my shower, and I was feeling good that morning. That's the thing. That's the kicker. Because there are other days where it's like, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm going to pass out. I feel very dizzy. I can't catch my breath, different things. But that morning was one of my better mornings. So my husband came in the bedroom and was laying down. Our dogs were here too. Daughter was in her room. So I go into the shower and I start taking a shower, and I didn't remember what happened right before until over maybe like a month after my NDE, my near-death experience occurred. I was in the middle of washing my face. I left my conditioner in my hair. I was washing my face, and I remember just something was going on, and I couldn't, there was no breath or air to be able to say help or anything. I just instinctively leaned against my shower wall. And as soon as I leaned against the shower wall, my spirit came out of my crown and I faced myself. And I remember just feeling like this is it. This is what happens. And I watched myself slide down the shower and fall over, and I hit my head on the marble entryway going into the shower. Fortunately, we don't have any glass in the shower. It's just a walk-in, no glass. And my husband had said, this is him telling me this because I don't remember this part, but he had said, well, whatever you did, you got the dog's attention, because the dogs turned around and looked. And when I didn't respond, that's when he turned and looked and he could see me. The only thing I could see was I watched myself fall, and it was like a blink. There is no pain in dying. It was, I honestly didn't even remember right before until, like I said, a month after my near-death experience. And it was just a blink. It's a half a breath and you're out. You just come out of your crown, because the one thing that spirit always told me when I would do mediumship, especially a dog that was hit by a car, had said to me, please tell my mom that there's no pain, God takes you out. And they would always face me and say, Kristen, there's no pain, they take you out. So I would have conversations with these spirits after I was done with sessions, and they would linger and say some things to me. And now I understand why.
Mm-hmm. They
So
were preparing you.
Yes, they were preparing me. And the body can feel, mind, body, spirit, right? So the body can feel, but the spirit is out. And we'll get to that too. So when I came out of my body and I fell, my heart had stopped. I saw myself turn purple. I saw my daughter's face, and she's steadfast like her dad. I mean, she was focused. Let's do what we got to do. And then I went into the ambulance, and I could see them starting to breathe for me in the ambulance. And then I was gone. Then I went into the realm of spirit. But my heart had stopped. My husband had to consistently do chest compressions because I was turning colors, had to do chest compressions until the ambulance arrived and EMTs came. They had to shock me and everything. I was unresponsive, brought to the hospital. I was intubated. I couldn't breathe on my own, unresponsive. And this lasted 17 to 20-ish hours, I believe. So, but I went, this is where I start to get teary-eyed, because I went straight to God. I went straight to this beautiful being that is perfectly balanced of masculine and feminine. God is this gorgeous ball of light. And the way that I can describe, and I always say him from my Catholic upbringing, but the way to describe Source is when you look at the sun, sunrise or sunset, that warm yellow glow, that's Source. And it was the most, because you know how being human, you'll think, oh, to face God after I've done these things, or, all the different things that go through our mind as humans.
Yes.
We are so accepted on the other side. I was congratulated for all I did in this life. He was like, look, you were wonderful. That was wonderful. And I love you and welcome home. And it was just, I was home. And a lot of people who have NDEs, and I understand this now because I used to watch the NDEs. I actually got obsessed with them, and then I got scared because I knew what was coming. But I didn't know, if that makes sense. I knew, but I didn't know exactly. So I had this conversation with Source, and I was just dancing around. And what's fun about this experience, which might sound odd, but when you're spiritually awakened and your gifts are opened, and I have friends that have these gifts open as well, I'm able to validate them and they're able to validate me. Because a lot of you saw me. A friend of mine saw me like twirling and dancing. And I said, and I remember doing that because I didn't have a body. I didn't have a body. So, you know, first of all, I felt lighter. But the lightness came from no low vibrational feelings. There was no shame, no guilt, no anger, no judgment, none of that. All that was gone. And I remember saying in spirit, wow, we hold on to a lot. So that's one of the biggest messages too. Give yourself credit.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Because we hold on to all of these emotions. And when I was on the other side, it was pure love and pure joy. Like nothing I can describe here. Just talking about the love of your friends, the love of your child, your spouse, your partner, your animal, all together. I mean, it still doesn't even compare to what I felt there. But I remember thinking, wow, we really hold on to a lot. And I remember all of a sudden looking down, because there's no body. I didn't have a body. So my awareness, what would be ahead, my awareness would just go. It's just, I mean, you can be everywhere. And I had these rays of light, because I had a friend of mine that said afterwards, before me even telling any of this yet, she said, you looked like the sun. And I said, let me validate that, because these rays of light were coming to me. And I remember watching them and looking, and Source said, bring your awareness to one of the rays of light. Because I could hear Kristen, Chrissy, Kristen, Chrissy, Chrissy, Chrissy. And some people were yelling, some people were whispering, but I could hear all of the prayers. So when you pray, it is felt. It goes, whether the person's alive or on the other side. That's energy, and intention is our phone line. Yeah. And I was able to look down, and I don't remember this part, but how do I describe it? I remember having an experience, because God had said, look at the ray of light and you can go to that person. But I don't remember actually going. They're blocking me from seeing me. Intubated. I can't see my husband, Ray. And my mom said, you wouldn't want to.
Oh.
So, but I had certain memories that would come back. But I think the biggest thing too, my daughter, now to bring in some humor, because that's how I roll. My daughter, she's 21, and she likes to take pictures of eyeballs. So I have all of these pictures on the phone of our eyeballs. And her and my niece one Easter were taking pictures like through the bottom of a glass, because it like makes your face look weird and everything. But the reason she's so fascinated is because your eyes aren't just blue or green or brown. They are the nebula. They are flecks of so many depths of colors. It's an art, really. Everyone's eyes are. So when I was intubated, my daughter said, your eyes opened. And the staff said, thank you. They're having me, I asked them to remind me to say certain things that viewers could find really helpful. So they're reminding me at the same time. But my eyes had opened, and my daughter had turned around, and the nurse had said, she's not there. It's the body's reaction. But she said, Mom, when I saw your eyes, they were flat. They were glossed over and they were flat. There's nothing there.
Oh.
So the eyes are the window to the soul, because we are the universe. And when our soul comes in, you can see the universe reflected in our eyes.
Yes. Yes.
I've got to tell you something about that when this is all said and done.
Oh, yeah, please do.
Me too. Me too. I'm taking notes.
Well, it's so crazy because my mom takes my classes, and we talk about spirit all the time. And when her and my dad were on their way to the hospital, my mom said, "Guides, can you please give me a sign that Chrissy's going to be okay?" And I always call my mom my tree, and I'm her apple, so the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. And so mom's like, "Just give me a sign." So when they got to the hospital, this nurse turned around and she goes, "Hi, my name is Apple, and I'm Kristen's nurse, and I'm gonna be taking care of her."
Wow.
And my mom goes, "What?" And she says, "Yeah, I know. My name is Apollonia, but my friends call me Apple."
Wow.
Like,
That's
That's
crazy.
incredible.
right.
Incredible. Yes.
Asking your guides, and that's the biggest thing, is talk with your guides all the time, because then you leave this window open that when you really need them, they're there and you can hear them. You know to look for those signs.
Yes.
And my mom did just that. So the other amazing thing is when I was on the other side, after being with Source, I could see, they talk about, because I didn't remember this at first, because someone said, "Did you have a choice?" I'm like, "No, I was coming back." And then I had a memory, and then I felt guilty, right? Because I was thinking I had a choice. I could have said, "No, I want to stay." So I had a choice, but I saw my, what do they call it? I saw all of my life surrounding me, and it was like on big screens and a 360 view. The name of it escapes me, what they typically call it. But normally you see all of these parts of your life, but you're not feeling you're feeling those that are around you, the good, the bad, the ugly, all that kind of stuff. But the only thing I remember is all the good stuff. And it was amazing because there's a few snippets that I saw first. And the one I always talk about was I was tiny. I was a year or two old, maybe enough to stand on my own. And I was handing my mom like a buttercup flower. And she was kneeling down. And it wasn't me I was feeling my mom's love for me. I was feeling how joyful she was. And that's how it was in each of the pictures. So it wasn't, I don't remember anything bad. And even if I did, that's something that we're here to learn from too, right?
Right.
So, but it was about the joy. It was about the love and how we can make other people feel. So I'm grateful to remember that, to bring it back, because when my ego wants to go and be judgmental or something like that, because hey, we're human, right?
Right.
It's remember the love. Remember the good that you can do. Remember the spark that you can do. So that's what came of that. But then I went to where I could see ancestors, family, animals of mine that have passed, all your family, all of them are there, furry and human, galactic, all of them are there. And everyone I have ever channeled was there. And one of my friends, her son, who I would channel often, was front and center. And I'm like, oh, and he did this smile, this smirk that just, one side was up higher than the other. And then we hugged. It's like the energies just intertwined and hugged. And I could see everybody else. I don't remember talking to my grandma. I'm sure I had conversations, but I don't remember that. But I remember him being right in the front and just seeing all of these animals that have passed. And it was the most amazing thing. And to fast forward from when I was back, I came home. I was in the hospital for 6 days, 4 days in one hospital that I don't remember at all. And then they transferred me to another one for 2 days to get my defibrillator surgery. So, but they call it 51st date syndrome because I was so heavily sedated that my memory wasn't good. And I hit my head, so they wanted to make sure all of that was okay. But when I had come home, I kept thinking about this friend and her son that I saw. And my guides finally said to me in the sweetest way possible, Kristen, get out of your way and message her. This is important. So I messaged her and said, I just want to let you know that I saw your son. And I did not tell her how he smiled. I didn't say that one side went up higher than the other. I just said that I saw him and he smiled and we embraced. And actually, no, I did. I told her about the smirk. And she said, Kristen, that's his smile. That is his smile. That's how he would smile all the time. And it was important for me to tell her because when she was in a prayer circle for me, when she was in a prayer circle for me, she saw her son and her son told her, I saw her. We smiled and we embraced.
Wow.
So it was validation for both of us.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I mean, and then it was, what do you want to do? Do you want to stay or do you want to go back? And it was, I remember bringing my awareness back to me and thinking, I love her. I love the love she has. I love her life. I love all that are in her life. And I can't not go back. This story isn't done yet. And just like that, I call it the halls of learning. But the walls were white and went as far as the eye can see with these gorgeous, huge windows. And you can see, I can't remember what was beyond the windows, but you can look out the windows and see things like planets and stuff. Mm-hmm. Like there was things going on, I remember. And there were guides that were in front of me that I still, for the life of me, I can't remember what they looked like or who they were, but I knew they were there. And I had the best I can explain it is the Marauder's map from Harry Potter, because the Marauder's map moves and you can see all the people on there. So this map was alive and it was like this brilliant color blue, because everything in spirit, the colors here don't do colors justice. So, and those who can see clairvoyantly, you can see spirit colors, right? So it was just the most brilliant colors. But I remember saying, nope, we're taking this off. We're taking that off. Don't remember what I took off. And then I'm like, this is going to be good. If she's going back, it's going to be good. So we put all this stuff back and I'm like, well, what did I put back? What did I take off? Do I want to take that? So my human mind is going nuts about it, but I had a choice. And so I'm like, hopefully I was smart in spirit. So I don't have to smack myself when I get back there and be like, what were you thinking? But,
I have a question real quick.
Yeah.
Maybe I should wait to ask this question, but in things that I've been reading, they say that we have a silver cord attached to us, like an umbilical cord that ties our spirit to earth. And that others that I've heard about that have NDEs say that you don't, like, if you get to the point where that is severed, you can't come back. So I guess there's a point of no return. So you must have been at that point, at least, I don't even know, I can't say physically, but you must have been at that point where had you said you want to stay, then you would have gone past the point, I guess.
Yes. That's when it's like, okay. And then you can go further into the realm of spirit.
Got you. Yep.
I didn't see the cord. I can perceive it in human form. Like I can see if someone's cord is, how close they are with their higher self. Mm-hmm. But I didn't have a perception of that when I was in spirit. But I do know that, I don't want to call it holding areas, but there are places that you can go. But when you make the decision, then you can go all these other places.
Right. But then they also say that we are able, as we're on the earthly plane, to go into the Akashic records and go into these other things. So I guess it's the intent of how you're doing it too.
Yes.
Maybe you were able to, part of you, go to the learning room or hall or whatever, do things, but not like the full, I don't know. It's,
yeah, well, you know, spirit, what I've learned from this experience is it's not like human life where
right.
it's black and white. It's you want to know something, so you pick up and you read it, and you know things linearly and consecutively. Spirit, all bets are off.
Yeah.
All bets are off with spirit. There's no this and that. There are spiritual laws. Yes, that's what's set, are the spiritual laws. But everything else, I mean, things that I thought like, oh, you have to wait 6 months before you can channel someone that has passed. And then it depends. I've had people come to me right away.
Yes.
Because it's right. Because it depends on that spirit. It's an individual being, right?
What is their perception of where they're going to be? Are they stuck in their own hell for a while? Are they, where are they? So are they at a higher ascension to where that,
Yep. Exactly. It's a whole thing. So it's, it blew my mind. And I remember when I said I would come back, and you guys know how this works, right? Something will happen and you'll get like a partial download, or you'll see something, but they don't explain what it is that you just saw. And you're like, well, what the heck was that? Well, what does that mean? Well, what is this? And then you wait. It's nice when you wait a day, a week, or even a month. But there are things that I waited 6 months for. And one of the things was I was attuned to Kundalini Reiki first. And then I was... there were things that had happened that I experienced and had like astral out of body. I call them bilocating experiences because I didn't have an astral projection. I could see in my mind's eye I was somewhere else. So I call it bilocating. But I had bilocating experiences where they were starting to upload me with another new healing modality. And then nothing happened. And I'm like, well, how do I use it? What is it? I had no idea. And they're like, you have to wait. It's coming. It's coming. And then I was brought to Rahani Celestial Healing. And then after Rahani, there were more things that came up because I needed that frequency and energy to gain more of the information for this new healing modality. So now being on the other side in this NDE, when I agreed to come back, they said, okay, we need to infuse you with rainbow light cord healing. And I saw this double helix of rainbow ribbons that had like this gold dust around it. And I was being infused in spirit with that. But they were also working on my physical body with it. So there were things that were happening on both ends.
So now, Kristen, can I stop you right there real quick? Because the gold dust, I actually experienced the gold dust glitter is what I call it myself when I had my NDE.
Mm-hmm.
So I most certainly believe that is absolutely real. It's not a trick of the mind. Because I don't remember who it was, but I do remember hearing someone else I had spoken with has seen this glitter type gold dust. And also, I know some people may come on here and they'll be like, chambers of healing. But the thing is, I experienced that as well. And I don't want to take away from your story, but I'm trying to validate.
Yeah.
Because, the more of us that come together and say, hey, what's she saying? Yes, I understand it because I was there too. So anyone watching this, yes, Kristen is not just woo-woo and out there. Okay. Because there are so many people, things that she's talking about here have experienced, including myself. So, I mean, this is just absolutely incredible. And one more thing real quick. We had, a lady, Maria MC, had 2 questions before we go any farther. Let me go back.
I know what they were. One was, did you have somebody that was helping you? Like people say, you have somebody that helps you to cross over. So did you feel somebody by your side helping you acclimate to where you were going and all that stuff before you made your decision?
When I first came out of body, it was just me, myself, and I knew what was going on. And I feel that this spiritual work really does prepare us for transitioning a lot better. So I feel like with the coaching from doing all the sessions I have and channeling people that have passed have helped me with that. I was always surrounded. I only remember it was just me and Source. When I first went there, it was just me and Source. It was just us together and conversing. And then everyone else was there. I could feel like my higher self was there, but I don't remember seeing them. Like I can see Source clear as day, but I don't.
But you know what that tells me? That tells me that you were like, this might be your last learning lifetime. If you got directly to Source, I don't think many people get there. You know, as a normal person, I don't think if this happens to you, you go directly to Source. You might go to the, you know, whatever council beneath Source. But I think if you went directly to Source, this might be your last learning earthly life that you'll have a choice. That's
now let me validate that. And you just validated for me because my higher self is a seraphim angel named Azra. And that's a whole other story because I always ask, you know, you always ask for validating evidence and proof of life when you do mediumship, but proof of other things to validate that they are your guides and they know you. So you need validating evidence. So my higher self gave me validating evidence and then gave me the messages. And that was one of the things that she had said was, I came in last second. I decided to come here. This is my last time here. I'm not reincarnating again. So that was one of the things. So I have chills because that really, this is why it's so awesome having the conversations, right? Because these are things that I was told, and Stephanie feeling that intuitive nudge of hers to be able to say something validates that in me. That's why it's so important to have these conversations because we're not nuts. This stuff is so real. And I remember when I came back, I was back. Like I was unresponsive. What did I say? 17 to 20-ish hours. And they didn't know how it was going to go. So when I said, yes, I'm coming back and they infused me, they actually tie your arms down and your neck is in a brace and everything because you have the tube to breathe for you. So I couldn't move. I am wildly claustrophobic and I honestly don't know who would be okay with being in that state. So I would panic, but my husband was able to calm me down. So when I was back so much so that they had to sedate me more because I kept fighting. I wanted to be awake and I wanted the tube out. But I was back. And when the very next day in the morning, when my parents came in, this happened on a Friday, November 3rd, on Saturday morning, when they came in, I was like, hi. And my mom, when she tells me this, so I still had conditioner in my hair. So can you imagine how soft my hair was after I finally took a shower? But I had conditioner in my hair. So it was kind of crazy. And I had these curls that were like coming out the side. So when I would turn my head, Mom said it wasn't just like these Dr. Susie curls. She says it was the look on your face. And she said it was like you were little. And you know how when you're little, it's the joy. Thank you. They're reminding me of something else important. It's the joy. I was so content and at peace and happy that everything was just okay. And, and I remember, what the snippets that I do remember from the hospital were funny. And this traumatic thing just happened, but I remember the joy and the happiness and the silliness of it. When I was with Source, when I went to Source, I always thought that there was something wrong with me because I've always been very childlike, very silly, very goofy, that type of thing. And I guess I thought you had to be stuffy when you became an adult. And I was a banker for 15 years. And, you know, I tried to do that. It didn't suit me very well. I'm just weird and goofy and silly and like to poke fun. And over a year, maybe 2-ish years or so before my NDE, I started channeling these. Oh, it was way before that. They're reminding me because I wasn't even attuned to Kundalini Reiki yet. And I remember saying, who are the circle children, to my Reiki instructor? She's like, I don't know. So this was like an evolution of these children that call themselves the circle children. And who they are children that are no more than 13. And you know how you call in Kuan Yin and Mother Mary and they heal the inner child from traumas and everything. The circle children are the absolute joy, happiness, silliness, magic of your childhood. So you can bring them forward and live your childhood now. Be the child now that you didn't get to be. Or I had a wonderful childhood. Bring her back and let her be out there and be.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I had to comment. Oh my gosh. This has literally been happening to me. Like this week. The most profound things have been happening. And the fact that you said go back to childhood, that I'm literally going back to my childhood. This is crazy. Stephanie can even validate this. This morning, we were actually talking about we're going to meet up where I was when I was a child, Erlanger, Kentucky.
She was for like 2 years, 30 minutes from me when she was a kid.
Yeah, that's one thing. But there's other things, just like being at my dad's. I'm just gonna say it. Being back in Kentucky where I am at right now, because I had started going to the gym, at a phenomenal place in Florida, right? Come back here and where my dad's located, like a total hour and a half surrounding areas, they're not good. There's nothing that they might be great for cardio. I'm a weightlifter. Because of my body type. I am a weightlifter. I am not cardio. Cardio's everywhere around here, but not what my body needs and not with what I need for, certain health issues, right? Now, so I was going on, trying to find some things because I worked out because I've always been a fluffy gal. So yeah, I worked out in middle school. Yes, I did. And I was just going back the other night and I was like, I've got to do something because I can tell, I'm gaining a little weight here at my dad's. I don't like it, and so I started looking back on YouTube and it was like immediately, like instantly, here came the same exact workouts that I did when back in childhood that worked for my body type that I'm doing again. Same. I kid you not. Like I was freaking out. I was showing my husband and I was like, oh my gosh, this is the same exact thing. Why did I? And it's like, I didn't even register to think about childhood, I guess, because I'm thinking, I'm older now, all this and those wouldn't work. But here it was, very first thing. And I said, okay, I'm doing this. So that's what I've been doing. So it's like, there's been other things like that too. So I don't want to take away your time, but it's like, this is phenomenal. Regressing back to childhood isn't actually, is it regressing or is it how we're supposed to be to begin with?
Yes, we're supposed to be that inner child because when I was with Source is funny, is lighthearted and whimsical. And Source said, you're me. And I'm you. That's me. But you needed to discover for yourself that you are all that you need and to love all that you are and not to try and be something or someone else. So I got that from Source because we get our characteristics right from our human parents and our, siblings and all that kind of stuff. And then society. But I've always been quirky like that. And God said the circle children I bring forward for you to channel. And a lot of people channel and don't realize. Some people see them and they appear no more than 13. The one main boy that I see has gorgeous dark skin, and his eyes are so blue, like they glow blue. And I was always afraid of spiritual children because of the way society and movies portray them.
Right.
It freaked me out. So I actually had a very lucid dream where one of my guides came forward and introduced me to them. And that was the first boy that came over. They were more in modern clothes, is how I see them, but others can see them in old-fashioned clothes, like the little dresses and the little old-fashioned shoes, or you can have a mixture of them. But they are pure joy, and you can have this wisdom. There's something ancient about them. They're so smart, but they come about it from this light-hearted way. And they always say, live that childhood now, that creativity, and do all of these different things. Bring that lightheartedness into your life. Color, draw, paint. Who cares if you're not good at it? Because they've been after me to paint and draw. And I don't have an art background. And they're like, who cares? You don't know what you're capable of unless you do it.
Right.
And try it. So sing and do all of these different things. Try it. Just try. If you feel inspired, just try. So these beings I have a better understanding of now, the circle children, because God and I had the conversation, and he had said, I brought you the circle children, and I want you to bring that out to the world, because this world needs that whimsy. We've gotten very serious here, amongst other things, and it's time to bring that back. And
Yes.
one person, and I know we've all heard this, the expression of the pebble in the pond that causes the ripple. It's true. I felt every single ray of light of prayers from everybody, and we have such power that's within us. And I remember when I came back, like I said, it was so funny in the hospital. I needed signs for everything. My husband actually made a sign that said, it said I fell in the shower and hit my head, because I had staples in my head. So if I felt my head, I could feel it. So I could feel the staples in my head. And when Ray held up the sign again, I looked at him and I went, you fell in the shower? And he goes, no, who's in the hospital bed? So he had to walk me through it. So then he had to change it to, you fell in the shower. You fell in the shower and I'm hooked up to everything. Are you okay? But it was funny like that, because and the patience and the love that they had for me to be able to coach me through. Hi.
Back.
I was coughing. I didn't want to,
But it was the joy and the happiness and the love I had for them, realizing that I couldn't remember things. Mm-hmm. So, and it went from like 30 seconds to a couple minutes to 15 minutes. I still can't remember a majority of what happened in the hospital, but on the fourth day, so it was over the weekend, the crew that was there on Friday to help me, they came back on Monday to see me off, because they said, where's the girl that was in here? And they said, oh, she's going over here, and they're taking her to Advent Health at the Heart Institute. She's getting a defibrillator. And they're going, no, there's no way she survived that. So they came to see me off. So there were several of the nurses and everything and the doctors that were standing there to say goodbye and to see me off. They wanted to see me, which I thought was so sweet, because they said, you were unresponsive. You died. You were unresponsive for a long amount of time and no damage. They did a CT scan and all that kind of stuff. So when I came back, I was back.
Right.
But I remember saying, I don't know about a defibrillator. No, I don't remember saying. My husband told me. I didn't want the defibrillator. I wanted to go home and think about it. And he's like, you died. You're getting one.
Oh,
So I'm like,
Kristen,
okay.
You can have some choices, but this isn't one of them.
I did not have a choice.
so, Kristen, okay, so speaking about coming back into your body, okay.
Yeah.
So I know my experience, it was like thump, and like the whole bed shook because I was in my bed at home. The whole bed, like, and I could, like, the thump was so hard, like I could literally like feel it when I came back into my body, and I actually felt my body like trembling and the bed shaking. Did you have, how did you re-enter your body? What was it like?
I don't remember it being remarkable. When I came back, I just was back. And I do remember the moment. Now, this recently came back to me because I said to my husband, you were to my left and you were leaning on the bed. They had the things up. And he goes, yeah, I was leaning like that. Because I couldn't move my head. So only in my vision that I could kind of see that he was there. So that memory came back. So I do remember, but it was like, you know that sound when you're about to astral project, and it's usually for like the first time or something, and it's like a, you know, like that.
Yeah.
That's what it was like, but coming back in. It was like a zoom. And I don't remember going through a tunnel or anything, but my spirit remembers it. Like I remember, I'm very big on texture, highly clairsentient. So we have that memory, right? So
Yeah.
my being has that memory of coming back in. And I remember opening my eyes and just looking around and realizing I can't move, I can't talk, all that kind of stuff. So it wasn't remarkable in the sense where I remember anything shaking or anything. And I don't remember Ray's face. I could see him with his head down, like he didn't realize. I think I had to move my hands or do something to get his attention that I was, and he had picked his head up, but I can't see his face. But I remember the peace. I just remember the absolute contentment of just, I was back. And I remembered, when you have an issue with your memory, they kept asking me questions. What was my name? When's my date of birth? Like all these different questions. And one of my best friends, Suzanne, and her husband, John, had come in because she saw me intubated. And when she came in the next day and she saw me, she goes, Kristen, everything you could see, when your eyes are searching in your brain for the answers to things, I was searching for answers. And she said, as soon as John said, Kristen, did you experience anything on the other side? She goes, Kristen, you talked without searching for anything. I went to God. I saw God. I was talking with God. I don't remember all that I said, but she's like, we were with you for a while, knowing that you were everything we would say, you would search for answers, but you knew. And then as time went on, I had these memories that came back. And because I said, I know more happened. And I was frustrated because I couldn't remember. And they said, give yourself time. We need you to heal first. So they needed me to heal. But I remember on the 6th day when I was coming home, I was taking off my sweater and it was like almost panic attacky. Like I couldn't get a good breath. And I just felt a lot of heaviness on me. My guides came in and said, you need to process being human again. Mm-hmm. Feeling not just the body, I was feeling emotions again because I was starting to get hard on myself. Why do I not remember? Why can't I see? And I was with God. Why can't I? And then I would wake up at night and have these images and I would remember all of these things. And then I started getting downloads as to what this rainbow light cord healing is. And they taught me how to do it. Oh, and the one interesting thing, I always talk about this one guide who I call Lorelei, and she is gorgeous. She's blue. She doesn't have any hair, beautiful big eyes, but she has these thick freckles on her cheeks and nose. And I saw her, this was a few years ago, in my mind's eye, and she was working on me, and I could see her like this, moving her hands. And she's the only guide that would move her mouth, but I couldn't hear her. I couldn't hear what she was saying, but I knew that she was doing energy work on me. And then all of a sudden she pushed the energy, and sparkles, specks, like sprinkles came from her hands into me, and I could feel it moving in my brain. And I remember thinking, am I going to be sick? Because I told you this, Stephanie, I get these bouts where I get very sick early in the morning. And so claircognizantly, in my knowing ability, she just put in there, everything's okay. We're activating the gray matter in your brain. So raising the frequency and activating more of the gray matter for more capacity to receive frequencies. And I remember saying to Lorelei, why didn't I see you on the other side? And her response in my head was, I'm alive. And I went, oh my God, like, oh my, right? Because there are galactics that are out there that haven't crossed over. They're alive. They can be a higher frequency, a higher dimension, and very close to that realm of spirit, right? Yeah. But she's alive.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm getting chills right now.
I know, I am too.
So, okay, so like, like with the glitter thing, see, okay. Yeah. So like the extraterrestrial that came to me right before my NDE that went into the glitter. Okay, so like she was alive too. Mm-hmm. And she was like, she had no hair, but she had on this, I don't know what it was called, but if you think of Spider-Man, except super thin, so much thinner than that. I could see every crease of her lips. It was that thin. But it's like, then she disappeared into that glitter. Okay, so what's going on? Because again, we're not the only ones seeing this glitter. What is it? I mean, I understand, it's all spirit and all that, but what are your feelings? What is it? Like, actually, how?
It's a frequency, and it's interesting because I've gone to the Akashic records, and I can experience it as like going to this grand library. But in another case, I actually had an experience where there was this book that opened, and it was that powder glittery, the same thing that was kind of encasing me. It's a frequency. So like colors have a certain depth of frequency to activate you, like the violet flame comes forward, and Archangel Michael, everyone is on some kind of ray of light, some kind of frequency of light. They're actually saying, this is what you're made of.
Oh, wow.
Because it feels familiar, but it is magical, and it is, we're made of this stardust, and we're all God. We're all, we come from, just like our parents, we have their DNA and everything is in us. We have that essence of them, same from source. And that's that essence of source. That's what we're made of and from. That's how I interpret it. And that's how they bring it forward.
Well, you saw the pictures that I shared with the group on Messenger of my last dog's eyes were gold. And then the pictures that I got of my flowers, they were gold. That's how the camera took the picture, but I was seeing the gold dust.
Yes.
But the camera captured it as just like didn't capture the glitter. It just captured gold glowing eyes and gold glowing. So when I knew when my guides were around, my angels, probably more my angels were around during that time, because I would see the gold glitter.
Yeah.
It's just, that's so amazing. See, right? I love talking about this because it's, understanding where you come from as well. I have more pictures to show you too, because I was out in the garden yesterday after meeting Teresa for the first time, actually meeting her, and Kitty came over, and I was taking pictures outside, and in every picture, I'm not one that gets a lot of orbs. There was stuff going on there.
Yeah.
So I've had a lot of, they say after your NDE, you're heightened.
Yeah.
Like you're heightened, you have, and the guides would say to me, because, you know, when I came back into body, hello, I'm human. I came back into body, and I guess I was expecting to know Mandarin and other languages and know how to do physics and like all this other stuff, I guess. I don't know what movies I watch, but I was expecting to have some kind of cool gift that I don't know. And the guides are like, give it time. Because the other thing that I knew on the other side that I spoke with God about was, we really do block ourselves. So when things aren't happening, just do a little smack on your own face, because it's you.
Yeah.
But that's okay. It's not like it's your fault. It's my fault that I'm not doing it. We all get there in our own time. It is about the journey, because I had to learn who my ego is so I can understand who my spirit is and allow her to come out so I can channel, because ego is still in there. So you have to learn to kind of get ego to integrate with you so you can move her back so you can be a pure channel. So it really is about the journey, and I wouldn't want it any other way. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, so give yourself such grace. If you're on this journey and you're wanting to open things up, you can, because they opened me up all at once. In 2016, my hearing, seeing, feeling, and knowing all opened up. I call it the Superman effect. And it was like it all opened up at once. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you can see. Like, I didn't know that people could see in their mind. And my husband and daughter, they're natural clairvoyants. I'm like, you can see in your mind? Is that how you're able to do math really well? You can like carry the 2 and cross the 1. And he's like, well, yeah. I'm like, dude, that's cheating. Like, I didn't know you could do that. And then they took it all away except for the feeling and the knowing. And like, and I thought that was like the short straw. Feeling. Okay, feeling. That's the short straw of the spiritual gifts.
Right.
It's real. I mean, allow your gifts to be a superpower.
Yes.
Because they are. I lean on my clairsentience. I have all the other ones, but I wouldn't want to change my clairsentience, you know, to be able to feel what other people feel my guides, all these different things. Really lean into it. And when you lean in and you trust yourself, because when you trust yourself, you're trusting spirit.
Yes, absolutely.
Because we're all one.
And Kristen, I've got to ask this question because I would love to hear your perspective on this to help people around the world. Okay. Because I have had so many people come to me over this, and, you know, one person, 2 people, but the more and more that we begin to share with people, this isn't scary, you know, or if there is something scary, how we overcame it. To help them release their fear is very important to me. That's one reason I do this.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess the best thing that the best way I can ask this is your perspective on anyone that would come to you and say, now, Kristen, you know, that's evil.
Mm-hmm.
That's evil to open myself up, or I don't want to open myself up because I'm afraid that evil is going to come in.
Mm-hmm.
Things like that. What would you say to those people?
So we can never force anyone. And I would never want to force anything on anyone, because
Right.
there are some people that can say that this is evil, and it's like, okay, you can have your perspective, and this is mine. When it comes from the pureness of your heart and you're spreading the good,
Mm-hmm.
I am one that, seriously, what I chose coming here, because we do choose our life, our siblings, our parents, we choose all of it, the situations, the traumas, all of that. And then things occur, illnesses and that kind of stuff, depending on what your emotions are and mindset and everything. But I chose to be bullied here. I was bullied by someone close to me, and then it was some teachers and at work and that kind of stuff. So when I started this spiritual journey, I never felt scared anymore, because I was always, into my 30s, I was afraid of the dark. And the reason I was afraid is because we don't know. We're afraid of the unknown, right? Because you're human and you have that logical mind. Like, I need to see you. You need to have a name. Because I do that all the time to my guides. And they're like, I don't have a name. Like, my mom's guide said, call me George. You want a name? Fine, George. So, but others are like, I don't have a name. You know, this is my energy. This is how my handshake type of thing. But I always, your mindset is everything. If you fear, then that can let it come in. But know that you are so divinely protected and so divinely loved. Everyone has to find, you know, only I wear my own shoes, so I can't force my opinion on someone else. So I'm not going to sit there and argue with them. I'm like, I just, you know, let it be type of thing. I'm like, well, that's your opinion, and these are my truths, because I work in the light.
Right.
Forcing my opinion on anyone or anything like that. But we are so divinely loved, and nothing can touch us without our consent.
Right.
And the fear kind of lets that consent come in. And if I ever do fear anything, I bring forward the archangels of sacred protection. If anything else, bring forward Michael, Archangel Michael. But I have the archangels of sacred protection that I call forward. And they're right there. So if I'm trying to figure out, because I had a being that was right here when I woke up several years ago. It was like this cloaked being that didn't have a face. And he was sucking smoke from me to him. And I knew he was benevolent, felt more masculine, but this being was helping me, was pulling out some kind of impurities from me that didn't serve me. But what I did first was, hi, because I was so geeked out to see some, because I saw with my physical eyes and I was really excited. Afraid of spiders, but weird stuff I'm totally fine with.
Yeah.
So that's how I am. Spiders, no. And cockroaches, no. But you can have this weird, you know, smoky dude right there, and I was totally fine. And then I'm like, okay, wait. I call forward my guides in sacred protection to come forward. I call forward Archangel Michael. And I just felt this being's energy, and I knew that he was pulling everything forward for me. And even when I did see, you know how you see the men in black?
Yeah.
The watchers.
Uh-huh.
When I first awakened, there was a watcher in my room, and I didn't get a good vibe. So I said, are you of the light? How can I help you? And it was just there. And I said, if you are not of love and light, you cannot stay here. And I called in my guides of the highest and, you know, protection. And he was gone like that. So we have such authority. You have to own it. No one's allowed in your space, in your house, in your room without your permission.
Right.
And I'm working of love and light. I want to help people, especially with this NDE, and knowing how that joy impacts another person. A smile, a compliment, giving them $5. It doesn't, whatever it is, you can bring so much joy to others. And that's why I do this work, because I want people to know how amazing you all are, how each and every being means something. I thought I was generic. I thought I was just here to be a banker, and there you go. There was nothing special about me. But when I started doing this, it was like, oh my gosh, I was born to do this. Like, this is, it fills every part of me. And I want everyone to know how amazing and magical they are. But there are some that are like, hey, so, you know, I never force it. So, I mean, to each his own. And I understand that now from another perspective, right? You know, especially after having the NDE and saying, so I remember reading somewhere that namaste means I see you, like I see the light in you.
Right.
As you see the light in me.
Yep.
And I see you. I think they do this in the movie Avatar too. And it just resonates with me so much, because you're able to see a person. I can, if they're being angry or rude or something, it's like, I see you. I see the divine in you, and I see that you're going through things, and I send you love.
Right.
And that's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to force anything on you. I'm going to send you love and wish you well.
Yes, absolutely. Agreed.
I feel sad. I feel sad for people that live in fear of God, live in fear of anything, because it is all here. And people ask me all the time, aren't you afraid whenever you do your investigations? Afraid of people, maybe, but I'm not. And you get those, well, you can't just tell evil they can't come in your space. You can't just tell spirits they can't attach. Yes, you can.
Yes, you can.
Yes, you can. You surely can.
Right. That's what they need to understand is you are in control. If you're to your point afraid or don't believe, then yeah, you could get possessed. You could have this or that. It's the people that don't understand that we are completely in control. Completely in control.
All is mind. So I had my father-in-law passed several years ago, and he wasn't particularly a nice man in life. So when he passed, he came to me. I can't travel, so I couldn't go with my husband to Jacksonville to be with my mother-in-law. So my husband wasn't home. So it was me and the dogs. And his dad we call him Big Ray. So all of a sudden, I'm laying in bed, and the covers blew out from underneath the sheets where I had to actually lean up, grab them. And I put those suckers over my head and I'm like, what the heck? And I went, wait a minute. I kind of do this stuff. So I put them down. I'm like, Big Ray, is that you? I'm like, you, and I could feel his energy. And I said, do you see a light? Do you see family? You know, I was trying to coach him through it. He wanted no part in it. I said, Ray, you can't stay here. If you're not going to be of love and light and of God, then you are not allowed to stay here. So I sick 'em guides, you know, like I got my guides and I'm like, I call forward my guides of love and light. I call forward my archangels of sacred protection. And he was gone like that. Then a month later, he came back to me in the middle of the night. I woke up and I heard, it sounded over an old-fashioned radio station. I am so very sorry. His voice. And he told me that his daughter, Kim, who was she was the first mediumship experience I had. She actually died when my husband and I are high school sweethearts. When he was a senior in high school is when she had passed. So she's been gone a long time. And she found her dad and crossed him over, is what she told me.
Yeah.
So, and I could feel the difference between when he first came to me, you know, however you are in life, if you're earthbound and you don't go to the other side, that's how you are in spirit. So if you're a jerk, you're a spirit jerk.
Yes.
So, right?
Yes. Can I say something real quick?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's like, so like if someone who may have Alzheimer's or some type of dementia or something, when they pass, they may pass away confused, some kind of state like that. Sometimes they do remain earthbound for a time. They do, and they're still in that same mindset. So, you know, because I have experienced, there have been spirits before, because you know, Alzheimer's, a certain form called the Pick's Alzheimer's. It's very rare, but it runs very strongly in my dad's side of the family. And my dad has a huge family. And I have had two different people who passed away with that form that has come to me. And when they first came to me, both of them very confused. And they had not crossed over yet. They had not. And so, I mean, it's like, and I've had other situations where I have dealt with people who, after, like what you're talking about, you know, like they're nasty. Now, I didn't know these other people, but they were nasty. And then once I could finally get them to see, hey, you know, the best thing to do, you know, you've got to trust that everything's going to be okay. Go ahead, cross over. And when they did, I've had them come back, and well, actually only one come back. And like you're saying, you can tell there's a difference. They're not in that same earth mindset. So our minds do play a huge key role in everything.
Yeah.
In everything. I mean, I could feel his energy here, and when he came back, he actually visits me in dreams now. I actually see him more in dreams than my own family, than my blood relatives. And I'm like, hey, can you like tell my family to come get on the bandwagon with you? I haven't seen him in a little while though, but he has a higher perspective, and just that wisdom there. So it's always important to, and the guides are saying to me too, understand that a child's greatest gift is the ability to have that imagination, because they imagine everything. And my biggest thing, if you ask my dad, what do you remember about Chrissy's childhood? I would always say, let's pretend. Let's pretend. Let's pretend.
Yep.
I'm She-Ra and you're He-Man, or, like that kind of thing.
Yep.
So it was, let's pretend, because your imagination is what drives spirit.
Mm-hmm.
You know how that goes. You're imagining, and I'm calling forward my guides and feeling them and inviting them to help me to help my father-in-law cross over. And he wanted no part in it. And that's when I said, okay, then you must go. You're not allowed to stay here. In love and light, I send you away. Right. And my guides were there, Archangel Michael and the guides of sacred protection. And then he came back, and it's just, it makes me feel so much more confident in my human life too, because it's the realization. It's like I got these downloads, and I was good with law of attraction before my NDE, but afterwards I get it. And I'm not as hard on myself. Okay, this made me angry, but I recognize that this made me angry. I'm happy that I recognized it, and now I get to change it.
Right.
Like, I'd be one of those stubborn people that's like, if you made me upset, I'm not going to crack a smile, man. But and I would be stubborn in that sense. And now you have a chance in every moment to change.
Mm-hmm.
You can change that. You can alter that. You can change your frequency. So I'm not in it as long as I used to be, type of thing. And it really does. Spirituality has helped me live a better life, has helped me be a better wife, mother, friend, better Kristen. And I just can't say enough good things about it. It's really, I used to, when I first started, it was like, okay, let me do my woo-woo stuff. Okay, now I need to wash dishes. And now let me do my woo-woo stuff. So I thought it needed to be, put my witch hat on and take it off, right? Yeah. But that's not the case. It's the integration of both. I'm all about living paranormally. That's like a phrase I love saying. I live paranormally. That's my life. I can be doing something, and then, there's a gnome that just went across in the garden, or like there's a serpent being that just went across, or I just felt this. Did you feel that? Oh my God, this, like it's so much fun.
It is.
And that's like a childlike aspect. And my husband said, if you ever don't have that whimsy and that excitability when you do stuff, you just don't do it anymore. Because, when you're doing things and you're like, oh my gosh, did that just happen? Or did you see that? Oh my gosh. So when Teresa and Kitty came over yesterday and things were happening, we were like, and it was just so much fun. So,
well, one of the things that I think is really hilarious that keeps coming to my mind is so many people, when you're a paranormal investigator, when you consider yourself a witch, when you read cards, when you channel the dead, whatever, so many people think we don't believe in God, or that we're against the Bible, or whatever. What they don't realize is everything for us is about God, source, spirit, whatever you want to call, whatever it is, that is everything to us. So when I hear people say, well, witches don't believe in God, who told you that?
Yeah.
Like,
are you an expert? Yeah.
It's like everyone has this image of this green witch that has this big, long, crooked nose and, this big, huge wart. That,
yeah. And like, you're not allowed to talk to the dead. That is against the Bible. Has anybody that you've ever loved died? Yes. Do you go to the cemetery? Yes. Do you talk to your loved one that's passed away? Yes. You're talking to the dead.
Exactly. And we're all born with these gifts.
Right.
Yes.
Every
They give you
single
signs.
one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
So
so
if it's wrong, if it's wrong, then we are made in our creator's image, correct?
right.
So if
Yeah,
it's wrong,
correct.
then why were we created to be able to do so?
Right.
We're told by society to be a certain way.
Right.
The psychics in, look at Phoebe and Friends. She's seen as weird and she's the psychic one and connected and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, I always roll my eyes now when I see that kind of stuff. But they put things out there to
Control.
yes, it's that control. And what I've learned is this is a way of living. This is the way the ancients worked, was being able to, like, it's not death, it's transitioning.
Right.
We don't die. So it's having, it's, I don't fear death.
No.
Death was like this. It was a beautiful experience, which I feel a little, that's part of like the trauma of what happened, is because my family went through this traumatic thing, seeing me as they did, my husband having to give me chest compressions for 8 minutes until the EMTs got here. But it was a beautiful experience for me. And the other thing is we want to force how. Okay, my grandma passed and I want to get in touch with you. Do this, do that, do this. Don't force how they're going to communicate with you too, right?
Right.
So allow them to come forward how they want, because each person, like I always say, Lord, help the soul that channels me when I officially pass, because I'm going to come through in all your senses. You're going to hear, see, feel, and know me, and I'm going to be like, ah! And you're going to be like, you need to go. You need to go. But there's some people, like my grandpa, he'll show me little images because he was not a man of many words in life. So allow them to come through how they're going to. You can say, Grandma, show me a ladybug, and then let it go. Trust. Allow it to allow the ladybug to find you. Don't go searching for it because you're not going to see it. And spirit will remind me. I'll ask them weird things like, show me a sloth and things like that.
Yeah.
So, and I'll play, like in class, I'll play and I'll send everyone, the guides will say, okay, we're sending everyone a red balloon. So everyone was commenting saying, I saw my red balloon today, or they would take a picture and, oh my gosh, like all these different things, because our energy is always connected. So we're learning to play with this now. That really helps us to be able to play with those on the other side. They're not here physically where we can hold them and all of that. Depending on how they want to portray themselves, yes, you can physically see them. Some of them look very solid, which I actually asked Spirit not to do because it freaked me out, because I couldn't tell who was human and who wasn't.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. I saw that happen, and I thought Ray hit a kid when we were going to Walmart one time, and I was like, and Ray's like, Kristen, there's no little boy there. And when I turned and looked, the little boy was gone. Yeah. That's why he was like walking behind the family. So it was just, that's when my gifts started opening up. So I was able to say, don't show them to me like that. Have them be hazy. If I see them, have them be hazy. So we have such control. We have to say, don't do that. Yes, do this. And I used to say to them, don't show me things when it's dark out. That scares me. Mm-hmm. And now I'm like, show it to me all the time. So I'll wake up and there's beings right here. I saw my dog that passed when I was little bitty and I don't have conscious memory of him. I love seeing all of it. So we have total, I mean, turn your abilities off and on. This is when you go from the heart space, because the heart is the spirit brain. That's the connection. This tells you the logical stuff. This tells you how to be human. This tells you how to connect with spirit and allow that energy to come in. And it's the integration of both of them, mind, body, spirit. Right. So it's the integration of all of that. So it's a beautiful way to live, and it has done nothing but enhance my life. And then since the NDE, Yeah, since the NDE, it really, I'm still in, if you can tell, I'm still in shock about it when, you know, my husband and I have certain conversations. And one other thing that I want to share too is my neighbor's gorgeous oak tree that's in his yard. The roots of that tree go into my yard and they actually stick up in certain areas. And this tree has been introduced itself to me, like the orb of the tree came in my room years ago. It's like a whole thing with, I always go out and say hello to the tree in the morning. And my husband went out somewhere. It was about maybe almost a month after the event happened. And I was alone by myself. And it was the first time I was alone, and I was finally in the garden because I love to garden. So I was finally in the garden and doing some things because I'm not going to let anything stop me.
Right.
And I went in the garden, and I always have my music going, and I'm singing. And all of a sudden, our song came on, my husband and mine. And I lost it.
Oh.
And it was one of those cries that I couldn't catch my breath. And it was just, I didn't know where to go with myself. And I took my gloves off and I walked over to the root and I sat on the ground and I put my hands on the root of the tree. I just did it. And the tree said in my mind, just breathe. And I went, and it was overwhelming relaxation and peace.
Yeah.
And I just watched the tree and swaying, and I could feel this tree in me, just that we are one. And this tree was just coaching me to allow me to breathe and allow me to work through the emotions. And it was just, and it was the feeling that came out of it is, I know I cried, but I'm grateful to be able to cry because I have such love in my life.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a good thing, right?
Yeah.
So seeing how we're just so interconnected, and how Gaia, how all of these beautiful beings, these trees and plants are interacting and wanting to help.
Mm-hmm.
And I just happened to be open at the time. So when you're following your instincts, go left instead of right. You need to go here. Well, maybe you don't need to go to the grocery store for, like, what am I doing here? But you needed to meet someone. You needed to see someone. You needed to say something. You know, these different divine things that occur. Follow that instinct and that gut.
Absolutely. And like, Stephanie, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say, one of the other things that while we're talking about like, so many people that come to us are like, I just want to know that they didn't suffer before they passed. You've already addressed that. Other people, a lot of people that come to us that say, you know, if my grandpa is still coming to me, is he stuck here? So what I also, and I was struggling, Kristen, you and I, you know, I was struggling with this in reading the book I just read, but because of my paranormal investigations, I feel like there are those that are earthbound, whether it be from a tragedy or just because they had dementia, whatever it is, or they just refuse to leave.
Mm-hmm.
There are those that are earthbound because they feel like they still have to protect their castle. I feel there are those that just come back and forth at will.
Mm-hmm.
But what bothered me is I do believe we live multiple lives. So I kept thinking, am I crazy? Am I a fake? Because how can I be talking to these spirits that passed away in the 1800s if they should be reincarnated? But what people don't understand is, I mean, this is just a lot of people's opinion.
Mm-hmm.
We can be in the spirit realm for hundreds of years before we come back into a new life, because you have to wait for the rest of your group to be there to plan, because you pretty much come back lifetime to lifetime with some of the same people.
Yes, your soul group. Yep.
Yeah. So just because your grandpa passes or your mom passes, yes, it's heartbreaking, but you're going to be with them learning something else. And so now I know I'm not a fake. I'm truly talking to these spirits. They just are doing the work there before they come back here.
Yes.
It isn't like you die, you go to God, whatever, and you say, okay, I want to do blah, blah, blah. And then you're born and you're back here tomorrow.
No.
That's not how it works.
No.
Right.
No. We're always working.
Like, no, we're taking a break. We're going to go up there. We're going to, whatever.
Yeah.
It's out for a while, and then we'll come back in 100 years or so. So
Right.
yeah, I think that's another thing to let people understand. Hey, Shape, let people understand that it isn't the end ever. And they're not stuck here necessarily. Just don't feel like every time a loved one, you feel them here or see them or hear them, that it's because they're stuck. They're not stuck.
No.
They're not stuck here. And just like with my father-in-law, family found him. You have loved ones in spirit. You have guides in spirit and loved ones, ancestors that are going to come and find you and help you as well.
Right.
And the other thing too is people fearing because they're like, oh, I'm seeing shadows, especially in the corner of your eyes. That's how you're perceiving spirit.
Mm-hmm.
So just because you're seeing a shadow, like my front room, my husband and I, years ago, we were sitting on the couch and all of a sudden I saw this huge shadow walk by. And the shadow was in the shape of an angel. It was an archangel.
Yep.
And it was shadow because it was at night, and that's how I perceived it. It's because it's a shadow doesn't mean that it's bad. It's just how we're perceiving spirit. And a lot of times that's how you can see things is in your peripheral vision as well. So like I said, I don't allow any of the bad stuff, it's just, it's not in my wheelhouse.
so minute in what real true evil is out there. I just don't feel like it's what people think, that it's everywhere you turn around. It's just not.
Right.
Yeah, there are attachments, if you're really low vibrational, they can attach on you. There are certain beings that feed off of certain emotions, and that's what they are. And then all you have to do is call in guides to help you remedy that, and there you go.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it's not, as horrific, as people make it sound, I guess.
Right. You just have to mean it, not be in fear. It can't be oh, please leave me alone. No, I mean, this is me. I'm just saying, this is me.
Mm-hmm.
With authority.
Yeah.
I said, get out now. And I mean it. You're not allowed here. Get off my property. That's how I do. Some people go about it nicer ways, but that's not me.
Yeah. Well, I did have an instance where it was the only time I ever felt like negative thought bullets were being flung at my husband and therefore the family. So when I had that happen, I called upon my energetic guides to please come forward. And I set the intention and commanded divine protection of all things, of our land, of our home, of our beings, like all these wonderful things. And I went out and I saged, and I just had a conversation with my guides, and I said, I wish this person well. And I send love, I send healing, and I send abundance and happiness to this person. And it's interesting because several weeks later, if not months later, I had seen this tiger walking in my yard. It was like a quick glimpse of a tiger. And I went, that's amazing. You're amazing. Who are you? And showed me like this wooden ring. I can see it in my mind's eye, but all I can say is like a wooden ring or coin or something. And this is actually it's a certain type of deity or God that protects. It comes forward to protect those that are disabled, my heart issue, but also comes forward to protect, is a protector of land. Wow. And they like to have, and it's the symbol of, this being, this tiger being. And they like to use this wooden coin or something to help signify this tiger. So it's exciting when you see something and then they show you different things and then you can confirm all of it. Okay, love Google. We didn't have that, when we were druids and everything else, right?
Right.
So, but that was the only time I actually felt someone's energy just flinging those thought bullets and just negative thoughts. And I remedied it right away. I'm like, we're not taking this, but I also sent light out, because that just means that person is coming from a place of lack and some kind of sadness that's going on with them. And I'm going to send you love and light, because,
Oh, sure.
Yeah, because we're only responsible for our actions and our reactions.
Right.
That was my life lesson. I found that out. That's my life lesson. I'm only responsible for my actions and reactions.
Right. Yep. Yeah.
Exactly. And ladies, something, now I did not grow up in the Catholic Church. So this is something that my beautiful friend, Sun, Moon, and Stars Tarot 1111, and anyone that is looking for tarot, someone to help you with tarot readings, you can always reach out to her. I do recommend her as well. In addition to lovely Stephanie and lovely Kristen, Sun, Moon, Stars Tarot 1111 is absolutely amazing. But she has a question here, or at least a statement, I should say. She says, I was born 12 years Catholic, then all of my adult years a Christian. Since I became a spiritualist, I feel so close to God. He speaks to me so much through synchronicities. I get judged often by people.
Yeah. And that's okay, because you're only responsible for your actions and your reactions. How they judge you, that's on them.
Yes. And when you live in that light, law of attraction, you attract those that have the same mindset, and you're also inspiring to those people, right? Because you're living your truth. Right. And I remember, because I went to Bible study and all of that, so I can have my confirmation and my communion and everything. And I always had to really study it, because it didn't vibe with me. Things didn't seem right, especially about our sins and everything else. Like, I'm not allowed in heaven and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
So when I started this journey, and I always wanted to connect with Jesus. And I remember thinking, am I not good enough to connect with you? That kind of thing. Am I not a good person? That type of stuff. And then I had this interaction, and I was doing a reading. It was a reading exchange with a friend before I started going into all the readings and everything. And when I started reading for her, I said, give me a moment. And I just cried. I bawled my eyes out, because in my mind's eye was Jesus. And this is why it's so important when we're resonating with people, like-minded souls that just light you up, and you have these beautiful connections with. They're raising your frequency, right? So there's an energetic exchange that happened. So there's an energetic exchange that happened with this friend, that I needed her energy to help mine to be able to perceive Jesus. And Jesus says, it is not about worthiness. It's about frequency, which isn't good or bad. It's not my frequency is higher than yours. Thank you much. Like that kind of thing.
Right.
That's not what it's about. It's a frequency thing. So they can't, he's like, I've always been here, but in the background, because if I come closer, they can make us sick. So that's why when we're going on this journey, we get the ascension flu, because our frequencies are changing and altering, so we can get sick with things. Sometimes we go on the fast track that happens. It actually happened to me this morning, and I got very sick, and they'll say, get your ice pack and take some good breaths, because you're in for a ride, because I needed to do a timeline jump. Those are trippy. So, which means time went really fast. So I blinked and the day was already over. But it's never about being worthy enough. I had to get over myself.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So that was my biggest lesson from Yeshua, was we're always worthy, and whatever you seek is seeking you. We just have to trust and allow it. So I still go there, right, Michelle? Even after like having an NDE, I always thought I should think better of myself. No, I went right back in my ego. I even thought I did the NDE wrong. Like this should have happened. That should have happened. And they're like, really? You're going to question it? But I remember going outside after my mom left a week and a half-ish after I was home. My mom left and we were getting back to normalcy. And I had gone outside and it was just clear stars outside. And I remember saying, okay, I'm back. Don't let me screw this up. Am I on the, can you give me a sign that I'm on the right path? Is this what I'm thinking? Or, I was having this conversation and I always look in certain directions, typically where I can see Orion because I love the constellation, or looking at Jupiter, that type of thing. But something made me turn the other way that I don't normally turn. And there was what I called in the moment a star. It was a UFO. It was very bright. It got my attention and then it shot off. And then a few nights later, I went out there again. And then it was like lights turning on, off, like several of them all around Jupiter. And on, off. And it was like, oh, I was so excited. Now, and then you expect it going out every night. And you're like, you're not going to see it every night. Like, come on. So,
and then I don't know about you, Kristen, but like you get used to it, and then after some time, then all of a sudden you realize, wait a minute, I haven't had contact for this amount. Am I doing something wrong? And then I'm start like, do you do that too? And I'm kind of like, what am I doing? Am I not in alignment with what am I? But then it's like exactly when I need them, here they come.
Yes, there's an ebb and a flow, right? That's how spirit works. So, the pendulum swings.
Right.
So we can be really highly energetic and have all of these things happen. And then it can seem a little quiet. It's not that we can't channel. We can channel like nobody's business and we feel the connection and all of that. But maybe we're not having the experiences that we did because they tend to there's so many things, right, that can happen. They're working on us. And that needs to be muted a bit, and other things will be, will shine more, other gifts, because they're working on this. Or there's more grounding. We need to learn, that's how we have that peace that I felt in the hospital. You get that through grounding, through being creative, through the circle children helping you and, trying and doing new and different things. And it's a whole process. It's like I received a download about all of that. And you know how downloads go. It's like everything in your head all at once. And you're like, okay, now I need to put words to it and put it in some kind of order to be able to explain it. But there's just so much that comes with it.
There was this show on way back because I haven't watched TV in 8 years, but there was this show on that I never really watched, but this guy like would see numbers and all these things flashing before his eyes. Oh. And often that's how I get my downloads. It's like, like all of this is just flashing like numbers and words and letters and this and that and this and that. And then I'm like, okay.
I had no idea there was a show like that. That's awesome.
Yeah, I forget. He had some kind of superpower or whatever. He was going to save, like, I don't remember now exactly what it was called, or if it was, of course, it had to do with crime and murders and all that stuff of some kind. But he was like, had these superpowers where he would see all these things and be able to know like who did what or whatever. I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, interesting. I love it.
Yeah. Really cool. Let's see. Does anyone have any questions that they would like to ask Kristen? Besides what has already been posted? I mean, because how are you feeling, Kristen? First of all.
I'm getting a little low on energy.
Yeah. Okay.
It might have been Marsha. I don't remember. But to Sun, Moon, and Stars, when people don't understand, I've done my gatherings lately and people come reluctantly and then they don't want a reading. Oh, I don't know. I don't want to know my future. I'm not going to tell you your future. I'm going to tell you your energies of what to consider, what to think about, what to move towards. I am never going to tell you you're going to win the lottery on April 4th or whatever it is. I am not telling you your future. If I knew the future, I would be, whatever. But yeah, so I think people they have a misconception of what getting their cards read is. It's not about us predicting your future.
Right. Yeah,
you're meant to hear, right?
Yeah, I mean, again, I really feel like so many people, because of how we grew up, things we were told, things we've seen on TV, and just like the readings, seeing, even in cartoons, you see this crystal ball, and you see this person, with this turban around their head, and then all of a sudden they're saying, and I see that you're going to die. All these things. It's like, that's not. It's not.
Right. It's whatever is in your highest good that you're ready for is what's going to come forward. I have close friends of mine, and she was always afraid whenever I would give her a reading, she was afraid something would come forward about her fiance that passed. Yep. It wasn't until I read her like the 8th or 9th time, that's when he came forward. And she said, Kristen, this was the perfect time. I said, because you're ready, and spirit knows that. I'm not going to force anything. I'm not going to, you let it flow organically, right? You let it flow organically, because spirit will know what's in the highest good and what you're ready for. Because sometimes people will come in and say, I want a mediumship reading. You may not be ready for it yet.
Right.
And you may not be ready for that yet. And that's sometimes why it's like pulling teeth sometimes with mediumship. And they'll full on say, I actually had someone's son came through, and I was wowed by this spirit, because a lot of times it's like, you're not ready for this yet, but this person's coming through that's been passed for a very long time or something like that, or guides that come through. But the son actually said to his mom, how can you expect me to come through when you can't even show the locket that you have stuffed in your bra? And she pulled it out and she goes, Kristen, she stuffs it in his bra because she doesn't want people to ask about the picture and ask about him.
Oh.
And he says, I'm always with you, but now's not the time for things to come through. Her aunt came through like nobody's business, and she was ready for that, but not the son. But I thought that was amazing that he was able to validate that and give that magic of something I wouldn't have known. But it's not about worthiness. It's not that they're not with you. It's none of that. It's when the timing is right.
Right.
Right. Yes. When you're ready to receive that.
Right.
That message.
Yes.
Right.
Absolutely agree.
Well, I think we should probably start to wind this down, because we don't want to wear Kristen out too much. She's had a couple big days.
Right.
On the horizon, I will be with Michelle live soon, and hopefully our friend April, who most of you have met through readings with us. Somebody's here. Hello. Not alive. But I am going to go live. I just had a session, a QHHT session with our friend April, and it was mind-blowing. And I know in our readings, I always talk about how my past life reading through Michelle has been so instrumental in my healing and my ascension, that I cannot wait to tell you also what I've learned through. So QHHT is quantum healing hypnosis technique. So it regresses you back to past lives, and they're able to also talk to your subconscious, etc. When I want to explain to people how healing it can be to have a session like this, because I'm mind blown. And some of the stuff that I did say was mind blowing after I remember most of it, but I cannot wait to tell people that if you really want to learn what you're here for or what your lesson is, it is very beneficial to go back and figure out what are those lessons. So we will be.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Okay. And I'm getting ready to have mine soon too. And I am so excited. Like I can't wait. It's so interesting because the things that the beautiful experiences that Stephanie has explained to me, it's like that just so wants me to have mine so much more.
Yeah.
Because I want to know, I've seen some things that spirit has revealed to me, or memories that I have from certain past lives or other timelines. But it's like I know that there's more healing though. There's something else that I need to heal. And like even today, Sun, Moon, and Stars Tarot 1111, she did a reading for me today, and she didn't know my situation, and she was like spot on. And it was what I needed to hear in that moment. I did not even plan to go on there. Normally, I don't have the time to, go on there live. But it just so happened things played out today just exactly how I needed them.
Right.
Because she was making a comment earlier, how she triggers people to help them heal their wounds. And that's exactly what she did for me today. It's what my soul needed. So, with what Stephanie was talking about having this past life regression, it is so, I feel, it's just my thought, but I feel it's so very important, at least speaking for myself, I feel like, I definitely need, a lot of understanding so that I can heal those wounds, whatever they are, get rid of them, just get rid of them, heal them, and not have to bring those back lifetime after lifetime or wherever else that I, may end up.
Yeah, for sure. And she did a reading for me the other day, and it was another thing too, where I just jumped on. And she did my reading first, which thank you so much. And she had no idea. And I just had this session, and she brought forth, she's so gifted. She brought forth things that she had no idea of. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like you have no idea how spot on you are. But what it really did for me is it made me understand what I needed to, what I've learned. I've learned the right lesson, that I've cut the cords, but that I know what my purpose is, and that I feel like I don't have to live too many more of these earthly lives either. So I'm really excited about that. Yeah. Because this is hard.
It is. It's really, it is hard. I don't know about anyone else, but I know there have been times, a lot of times in my life, I look at other people and I see them, and it appears, we don't know all the junk going on behind the background, but it appears like some people have such easy or happy all the time lives.
Yeah.
And so then, there's been times that I have looked and I've been just like, okay, how can I be that? How can I do that? But then it's like, then there's challenge after challenge until NDE. And in that moment, I realized, oh my gosh, I planned this.
Right.
For soul growth. I planned all these hard, challenging.
Not everyone gets to reincarnate here. It's not easy.
Right.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I think we're good. So I don't think that we have any other questions. Carrie Ann said she really loved her past life reading from Michelle. Hello, Heather. Sorry if we didn't individually say hello to everybody, but really, really love you all. We did this for you because we want everybody to learn from what we go through. That's what we're here for. And we want you to know that everything is okay. We're all divinely protected, no matter what happens, good or bad. It's all planned, it's all good, and it's all going to be okay.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Kristen, thank you so much, honey, for taking the time to do this. We really appreciate and love you so much. Mm-hmm. And everyone who has came on and who comes on in the future, We love you all so much, and we're just so blessed to have you in our lives. Even if you're just stopping by for the first time, please make sure to check out lovely Stephanie Getz with Get Spooky Society. Kristen, before you go, please, can you tell people how to contact you? Should they like, to reach out for you with questions or to watch your content?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. You can find me at infiniteheartandsoul.com, and you can email me through there. But I'm a psychic medium. I do read tarot cards as well. I do it in conjunction with, channeling from the guides. To do mediumship, I do different healing modalities as well, light language, activations. So, like I said, the more rabbit holes I go down, it's just so much fun. And I have different people that will ask me, do you do this? And it's like, no, but let's try. Like, there's some things that I'll certainly try. You don't know unless you try. Like, I didn't know I can go into the Akash and, see other people's lives, that type of thing. So it's playing with the energy. That's what I love to do. So as long as you're open and want to play and see what's out there, I love it all.
Absolutely.
So Infinite Heart and Soul and spelled out.
Yes, infiniteheartandsoul.com. And I'm on Facebook and TikTok and all that kind of stuff as well. Yes.
Yeah. Excellent. Awesome. Okay. Well, thank you, everybody. We'll be back soon.
Thanks to everyone. Have a very blessed night, everyone. Bye-bye.